Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel Logside Magic, and it's Jordan here, and today we are doing a bit of a different video, as you can tell. So this is the Kaldheim only, and I say Kaldheim only event that is still currently live on Magic Arena. What's the event format? Basically, you can only run a deck, standard deck, that is only Kaldheim. Now, that gives us a lot of scope. There are a lot of tribes and a lot of themes in the new set with Kaldheim. But I decided I wanted to see how quickly I could win this event with as fewer investments as possible. And I actually realised that I had the majority of the elf deck apart from 3 Warmasters. So I was like, well, let's just go with that, because why not? So basically, as you can see, our first deck we are versing off is a snow deck. So what are they trying to do? They are trying to utilise snow for various reasons, either getting the Ascended Spirits up to a very big boy, or by utilising all their creatures entering with +1 counters using the elf. Trust me, we thought of using it as well. We decided not to in this variant of the deck. So what we're going to try and do is basically, the entire theme of the deck is to go wide and to generally cause havoc and mayhem within the deck itself. So there are plenty of things that we can do. The going wide strategy, obviously with the Warmaster, is just sweet, but there are plenty of token pieces of removal here and there, as well as a little bit of card draw using the Frost card, as you can see. Now obviously what I'm trying to do is get him to invest his mana, because I want him to make sure he is tapped out. So of course, now what can we do? Well, we're just generally trying to go wide, and we're also going to use Price of Glory to get ourselves a nice scry off this. But we also do have our Crippling Fear. First time I play this deck, I play Crippling Fear incorrectly, because I believed it was like the Witch's Judgment from Throne, where you choose a creature type and that creature type gets the effect, whereas basically you choose a creature type to save, essentially, and everything else gets -3/-3. So it is strictly better, but if you're not used to picking a creature type and nothing happens, it's a bit unusual. Now, Harald Uniting the Elves is a sweet card. Obviously, you get to drag back any elf from your graveyard, not just the ones that you get to mill. So please do remember that. So obviously with Warmasters, it's another graveyard recursion strategy with them, which is rather sweet. Obviously, our opponent is having a lot of fun with getting to choose cards. They get to shuffle in and various things like that. And to be fair, quite frankly, we've gone so wide that we're not really caring about what our opponent is up to at this point. We of course have the removal spell in hand for when they do decide to pump up, which we believed is what their plan was. And lo and behold, we are justified while they're tapped out. Get it, and also from it we're going to get a scry. And the opponent concedes. Moving on to game 2, we do not have a solid hand. To be honest, it was debatable whether we were going to keep it or not. In fact, while I was filming, I did have my son with me, and he managed to convince me to stay the course. He believed that this hand could do it, and well, I don't want to say that he was, it was justifiable, but we did manage to get our Warmaster out, which is quite nice. Sadly, obviously, the opponent is running some form of removal deck. We do have to be cautious of that, because, of course, we need creatures on the board to tap with our Druid, which allows us to get the benefit of it. Sadly, as you can see, we do a whiff right there, and it is very hard to do that when you are mana starved. You could do with it. Ideally, this deck, you do want to be hitting your land drop each turn. And then now we've realised what they are doing. They are a giant deck. Now, obviously, there are some really sweet giants in this format, and it's got to be considerate. Now, I played this one forgetting that I actually had Binding of the Gold Gods in hand. I believe that they were all Haralds, as you can see me just quickly highlighting there. Realising that I'm going to take some damage off of this spell. And to be fair, the ultimate of the Giants saga right now is concerning, because there are some very powerful giants in the format that kind of need to be dealt with. But we decided to press ahead and still go wide and still get some damage. And hopefully we are praying that we're not going to get punished for it. But we will find out as we play. Some people will be wondering why the screen has been cropped as well. Sadly, I was filming on one of my other settings and didn't realise until we'd completed the event. And rather than let all the footage go to waste, I actually wanted to use it. It was rather annoying. It looked completely fine for when you're filming, and it's one of those things. Now, obviously, when you ultimate Harad's one, it's quite sweet because all your little guys do get to do some sweet things. Once you got Tyvar on, you can do a lot of things as well. But as we can see, he really needs a board wipe at this point. Now, there is a 6 mana. The 6 mana deal 4 damage to all non-giant ones, which is quite scary, but luckily he didn't have it there. Moving on into game 3. Now, to complete this event, you need 4 wins. And this deck actually ended up going 4-1. So we are rather, you know, we only got 1 loss, and that is coming up in the next game. So we keep this hand, we've got plenty of spells, we've got plenty of things we can do on the way to hopefully get to 4. Warmaster is pretty sweet, it allows us to do plenty of things. Obviously we see an elf on the side of the board, and we're kind of curious as whether this is an elf deck. And likewise, they do foretell. It is not unheard of. We do have foretell cards in our deck as well, so they could be easily running something of that nature. But benefit is we do have this Blizzard Brawl to get ourselves through for some, start pinging in for some decent amounts of damage. Obviously we've got Binding up as well as Leaving. Now I did make a massive mistake here. You were meant to decline because I did want to keep the Warmaster round on the table to keep going wide, and would have happily paid the 1 life. But you meant to decline the actions, not accept the actions. Obviously, Realm Walker is a concern, and yes, but luckily we do have Binding of the Old Gods in hand, so we can deal with it. We are more black heavy than green heavy, but you do need green for certain pieces, but a lot of our removal and everything else is in black, so you've got to kind of make sure. Plus, the Binding of the Old Gods does go find you your forests, so you don't need to worry too much about finding the green. Now, Harald obviously can get us some quite sweet value on the go. Now, you've got to remember it goes to hand, not to the battlefield. That's the only thing. I totally misread it when I first saw it. But these things are sent to try us, you know. Can't be helped. I also forgot the fact that I was able to tap for mana as well, which is quite sweet. And obviously, Harald unites the Elves, allows us to go get our Warmaster back again. Just allows us to keep creating more and more things that we need, and of course our opponent scoops it up. Now, decided to keep his hand. We've got 4 lands. We had going up to 4 mana quite easily if we wanted. We also got, you know, a Warmaster in hand, so we can start going wide as well. And we do see Elf. Now, we know that Elf was featured quite heavily, but the mirror match actually can work out quite nicely in your favour. And of course, we have 3 snow permanents, so we're going to get 3 for damage as well, which is rather sweet. Now, he is running the Lord. I wasn't. I couldn't justify sticking 4 rares into. Well, let's be honest, a creature type I am not a huge fan of. I will be fully honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, elves are cool and elves are fun and all that, but nah, they aren't quite my cup of tea. I am a red player and I do love me. Now, what I did here is I decided to save the cleric, which allows me to kill all the warriors on board, which includes his. Which I thought was quite a clever player, until obviously he plays Harald, unites the Elves, and gets his lord back. And I'm left with a rather small, weak board. Now, this is kind of spelling the doom. You can tell the reason why we lost this, and if we'd had a bit more card draw, I think we could have done a lot more. But sadly, I don't think that was really going to be an option for us. Now, obviously, we do get the bonus to of indestructible. So we remove the guy who's going to give us some problems. And then we get Tyvar down, and Tyvar obviously just starts giving him major advantage. Obviously, the ultimate on the Harald as well was not helpful. We do find our Tyvar, but sadly we're not going to be able to utilize it in the same manner our opponent is, which is just rather annoying. Obviously, I could have given it Death Touch and swung, and it's kind of whether it's worth it or not at that point. And of course, I also misclicked and didn't block as I was meant to do, but you know, these things happen. The Blessing of Frost, obviously, it is a card draw engine for the deck, and it can just give you what you need. But sadly, we drew into a land, so we wanted a removal spell there so we could actually deal with the board. But sadly, it wasn't going to be on the cards for this one. As we're going to see, we're just going to play it out, have a bit of fun. Why not? We decided to trade off. Obviously, he's going to kill the 5/5 because why wouldn't he? We were hoping he maybe misclick. But sadly, he did have the Hexproof. And now, I believe he cast it thinking he was going to get an extra counter off it. And sadly, he didn't. But, you know, these things are fun. So, we're moving on. Right now, we're at 3-1. And this is the final game of the event. Because it's only 2 losses and you're out. And so, we're all winning in. As I said, we had my son. He was watching. He was playing with us. He thought it was brilliant. And we were really enjoying ourselves. Obviously, we cast the Sentinel. What we ideally wanted to do there was cast into our discard, Pilgrim, which would have been majorly beneficial. But obviously, we then got to do the Warmaster into the Disciple. And it worked out rather nicely. We get to attack our opponent's hand, and it's rather cool. Sadly, obviously, he burns the board quite badly, and we are kind of on the disadvantage. And we whiff with Harald as well, which doesn't help us, which was a rather concern, but luckily he missed a land drop and it allows us to capitalize and start swinging. Tyvar then just starts giving us advantage because we can start getting Harald out of damage-based removal range. And we just keep it, and obviously we want to get to the ultimate Tyvar if we need to. Binding of the Old Gods, not really helping anything, so we keep it in hand. Obviously we're going to use it as targeted removal. But at this point, you know, our opponent is severely hurting. Either we get into ultimate or not. And that's where we ended. So we ended, as I said, 4-1. It's not too bad. We did get a couple of cards out of it. I wish that we were getting rares and various things like that. But, you know, these things happen. From it, I also earned 2 boosters. So I just figured I'd leave it in the video. But if you have enjoyed the video and you do like it, this method, please comment and let me know down below. The list is in the description box down below. And yeah, get in and get your free wins while you can, guys. Thank you very much. Goodbye.